Welcome to another edition of SKNIS Week in Review, a weekly program that highlights some of the top stories of the work of the government of Saint Kitts and Nevis. I am your presenter, Carissa Franks. Coming up, Team Unity Cabinet accepts unanimous recommendations of the National Marijuana Commission, the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall to visit Saint Kitts and Nevis as part of their Caribbean tour in March. Saint Kitts and Nevis finalizes plans to host a 30th intersessional meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the CARICOM from February 26 to 27. The Honorable Timothy Harris-led Team Unity administration has accepted more than a dozen broad-based recommendations presented by the Saint Kitts and Nevis National Marijuana Commission in its final report to the Cabinet on the way forward for the use of marijuana in the country. The accepted recommendations include, inter alia, the amendment of the Drugs Act having regard to scientific developments since the Act was passed in 1986, the use of cannabis and its derivatives for medical and scientific purposes, permitted under license and a strict legislated regime, penalty for possession of less than 15 grams of cannabis be reduced to a ticketable offense without a criminal record, penalty for the growth of less than 5 plants per household should be reduced to a ticketable offense without a criminal record, as well as the creation of a massive public messaging program prior to any changes in the law, and continuing thereafter informing the public of the benefits and risks and the potential harm to young persons regarding the use of cannabis. The Prime Minister said the Commission could not agree that cannabis should be legalized for religious purposes or that it should be legalized for recreational purposes.
The Cabinet considers, therefore, that a phased approach is advisable, taking the unanimous recommendations of the Commission as our first steps and thereafter considering the other areas in which unanimity could not be achieved, and that would be a prudent approach to take.
In practical terms, Prime Minister Harris said his cabinet will consider and consult further on creating the framework for the use of cannabis for medical purposes and for the development of the medical cannabis industry in Saint Kitts and Nevis. Their Royal Highnesses, the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall, are scheduled to pay a royal visit to Saint Kitts and Nevis on March 21st. The trip comes as part of their Royal Highnesses' visit to 6 countries and 1 overseas territory, undertaking over 50 engagements across 10 islands, including a visit to Cuba. It will be the first official visit by a member of the royal family to Cuba. While in Saint Kitts and Nevis, the Prince and the Duchess will undertake a program that will demonstrate the country's commitment to heritage restoration, the environment, and local culture. The Prince of Wales will also have the chance to return to the Brimstone Hill Fortress, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that he last visited in 1973. The Prince will learn more about the history of the fortress, the restoration work that has been undertaken there, and attend a showcase of local culture, dance, and music. The Royal Highnesses will also attend receptions on both islands for members of the community, which will feature local music and culture. 24 new island constables who were recently sworn in took the administration of the oath and received their instruments of appointment during a brief but meaningful ceremony held at Government House on Monday, February 18, 2019. The group made history of becoming the first island constables to be appointed specifically to tourism-prescribed areas. The administration of oaths to the island constables is in accordance with the Islands Constables Act of the laws of Saint Kitts and Nevis, Cap 1921. Governor General His Excellency S.W. Tapley Seaton administered the oaths and extended sincerest congratulations and best wishes for the future.
I certainly wish to extend personal congratulations to every single one of the island constables and to wish them well in their future undertakings. It's a very serious responsibility, and I'm certain that all of the training that you have had will prepare you to discharge your duties in the correct way.
Saint Kitts and Nevis, under the CARICOM chairmanship of Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, is finalizing plans to host the 30th intersessional meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the CARICOM, which takes place from the 26th to 27th of February 2019 at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort and Royal Beach Casino. To date, 15 member states and associate members, 8 regional organizations, and 145 delegates have registered. The 30th intersessional meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the CARICOM is expected to treat heavily with transportation and regional integration. Individuals, groups, and organizations flooded their communities to do voluntary work in a show of love, service, patriotism, and pride. The 2018 Independence theme put into action on National Volunteer Day on February 16, 2019. National Volunteer Day had its inauguration on Saturday, February 17, 2018, as part of the calendar of activities to celebrate the government's third year in office. This year, 2019, it has continued with renewed and fervent momentum as the Team Unity administration celebrates its 4th year of accountability, transparency, and good governance. In his inaugural address to kick off National Volunteer Day in 2018, Prime Minister of the Federation of Saint Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, said the day is set aside to rally all citizens and residents in service to the infirmed, the poor and indigent, the differently abled, vulnerable and at-risk children, and elderly and shut-ins all across Saint Kitts and Nevis. Over 30 groups and organizations, in addition to individuals, have responded to the call of service and duty to country. In related news, the second annual Older Persons Luncheon at Government House was held on February 16 under the patronage of the Governor General, His Excellency Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, to commemorate the 4th anniversary of the Team Unity administration's election. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, his colleague cabinet ministers, members of the Volunteer Corps, and others served hundreds of older persons a delicious lunch and engaged them in a number of activities that made their day a truly memorable one. In his welcome remarks, Prime Minister Harris said that he is always pleased to interact with older persons because they inspire him and have shaped him to be the leader he is today. He assured the older persons that they are loved and valued and that the government will continue to have their best interests at heart.
It's our way of giving back to you in remembrance of your excellent service. We ask you to come here on these sacred grounds so that we as a government can say thank you for what you have done in the past and what you continue to do as role models, as exemplars, sending on and passing on the values of industry and pride in self to the younger generation.
The diplomatic footprint of St. Kitts and Nevis has grown tremendously since 2015, with the signing of new diplomatic relations with 34 countries and the addition of some 15 visa-free waiver arrangements, said Minister of Foreign Affairs and Aviation, the Honorable Mark Brantley, during a community consultation with the Federal Cabinet held in Nevis on Monday, February 18.
We have added some 19 visa-free arrangements in the last 4 years, taking our passport to one of the most powerful in the region. And we have committed to making it the most powerful in all of the Caribbean and Latin America as we continue to work at this.
The Lodge Explorers Club was launched on February 17 at the Violet Petty Primary School, making it the 6th Explorers Club to be commissioned in the Federation, adding 72 children to the hundreds of community explorers in St. Kitts and Nevis. At the launch, a website and Facebook page for the group were also unveiled. Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, congratulated the new explorers, noting that they are the present and future of the society, and he has confidence in their abilities to deliver.
There are more good people than there are bad people in the world. And when good people like us take a stand for justice, for peace, the entire country, as it were, rise to its highest heights. The only difference between them and the role models is a question of the choice they will make regarding their own lives. If they can conceive it, if they can imagine it, they can make a wonderful story for themselves, for their families, and for their communities. And that is what we wish for them.
He told the explorers that gang life is no life, and encouraged the parents to teach their children to say no to gangs. That's it for this edition of SKNIS Week in Review. See you next week.